Hello and welcome back. 3.19 has finally started and it's time to play. Today I want to show you my new favorite skill, Selfcast Soulrend Occultist. You have good mobility with shield charge and flame dash if you want to go fast. A huge amount of energy shield recharge if you get any hit. It's a perfect Leaguestarter. With small investment you can clear easy T16 yellow maps to get more currency, which you can invest for more damage and tankiness. It's solo self-farm friendly because you need near to no items to clear T60 maps. But later on you need some core items when you wanna go low life, with the chevrons wrapping and the ashes of the stars if you wanna go really crazy. Not the best build for hardcore, but it can be decent if you go a bit more in the defense at the start. If you like my content, please subscribe so you never miss a video. And like the video if you want, so I can see how you guys love the content I do. So let's get started into the guide. Soulrend is a Chaos Overtime multiplayer skill which peels all targets and scales huge with spell and chaos damage. And while you hit enemies with Soulrend, you leech every time 4% of your spell damage as energy shield. Soulrend has an auto-target function, so I can use the movement to avoid getting hit. With a Molten shell or steel skin on your left click, you don't need to look on your bar to press it when the skill is ready. Cruelty makes all skills supported by Cruelty deal up to 40% more damage over time, based on the amount of damage in the hit which grants it. For bossing, we swap our greater multiple projectiles for Swift Deflection, so we have less projectiles but up to 50% more damage over time, which is perfect for bosses. We place over the totem setup in front of the boss so he can attack the totems and not you. And they also give the boss pretty fast the wizard stacks, which grant 6% increased damage taken up to 15 times. So 90% increased damage taken, which is a pretty awesome buff. We are also cursing enemies with our Bane setup in the beginning, and later on with our Soulrend and other not gentle touch, so the boss take increased damage and is lower. For our main auras, we take Clarity to sustain our mana at the bosses, and we use Malevolence for more damage over time and increased skill effect duration. Purity of Elements is pretty good for the beginning, because with no investment we are getting element immune and gives a huge elemental resistance buff. With our low life character we use Prism Guardian to get many defense auras like Determination, Grace and Discipline, so we are much more tanky when we go to our low life setup. Our Ascendacy is pretty straightforward. For the first node we wanna take is Profane Bloom, so you get one leveling, juicy explosions, and this makes the build way more fun because everyone loves explosions. For our second Ascendancy we wanna take Malediction, so we can use one additional curse, and this will enable our falling band setup for the beginning, which you can use for clearing if you like, or just to curse bosses and break them down. The third Ascendancy point will be Void Weaken, so nearby enemies have minus 20% chaos resistance and 100% reduced life regeneration, which is pretty useful for Maven bosses, so Maven is useless with a healing boon. The last Ascendancy is Withering Presence, which gives you 16% chaos resistance and you deal 15% more damage over time, and a lovely side effect is that you will inflict wither stacks on the enemies which are nearby you for every second, up to 15 wither stacks for 15 seconds. Next step is a skill tree, so let's look into the masteries first. For the first reservation mastery, we want to take 20% increased life reservation efficiency of skills. For the second reservation mastery, we take 8% increased damage for each of your aura and heritage skills affect you, so we have a good more increased damage effect. For our first energy shield mastery, we want to take 3% of maximum mana as maximum energy shield. For the second energy shield mastery, we want to take regenerate 2% of energy shield per second. For the damage over time mastery, we wanna take 30% increased effect of cruelty, so we get a huge damage buff from this side. The next mastery is the chaos mastery, which is pretty powerful. We wanna take on this side 1% to chaos damage over time multiplier per 4% chaos resistance, so a huge chaos damage over time buff from this side. On the mana mastery in the middle of the tree, we want to take clarity, has 100% increased mana reservation efficiency. The last mastery we want to take is the life mastery. We're going to take on this, vitality has 100% increased mana reservation efficiency. And don't be shy to use the big strength and dexterity nodes if you need more attributes. The full path of building is in the video information down below. Let's check it out. If you go near to level 90 or more, we can swap to our low life cluster setup. The following nodes are the best for clusters. The first one is Wicked PoE, for increased chaos damage and skill effect duration. The second one is Unholy Grace, for increased chaos damage and cast speed. The third one is Unwavering Exile, which gives increased chaos damage too. And your skills ignore interruption from stuns, which is a cool side effect. Later on, if you have a good amount of mana, you can use Dark Ideation, which gives you 2% increased chaos damage per 100 maximum mana, up to a maximum of 80%. If you hit 2000 mana or more, you will use 2 of them with Unholy Grace and Wicked PoE. For our medium cluster setup, we just wanna scour and arc our jewels to get any good mod we want, like Students of Decay or Unwavering Exile, or other good chaos damage over time nodes. For the jewels, we just need increased maximum energy shield and something good, like resistance or attributes. And later on, chaos damage or chaos damage over time multiplier if you don't need resistance or more attributes. If you got a slot for your Watcher's Eye, you want to have the mod gain 10% of maximum mana as extra energy shield while affected by clarity, which costs around 1 divine while recording the video. For our Pantheon, we wanna use Soul of Arakali and Soul of Aberrath, so you will be happy every time when you have Burning Ground and Chaos over time damage. Next step, the Bandits. It's pretty easy here, we just wanna kill everyone for the 2 passive skill tree points. If you get any questions, feel free to write them down and I will read and answer every single one. When that's your second or third character, you can use unique items while leveling, like a Tabula Rasa for early 6th link, a Goldroom Helmet for easy resistance cap, or Wanderlust for movement speed and freeze immunity. Or if you wanna go a bit faster, just equip the 7 league step for way more movement speed. The leveling path of building tree is in the description. For our main Soulrend 6 setup, we wanna use Soulrend, Cruelty, Void Manipulation, Efficiency, Controlled Destruction, and Greater Multiple Projectiles. Swap out Greater Multiple Projectiles to Select Affliction for bosses. Our Aura 4 link setup will be Discipline, Malevolence, Purity of Elements, and Enlightenment support. In the Prism Guardian, you wanna have Grace, Determination, and Zealotry. In your second 4 link, you wanna have Molten Shell, Defiance Banner, Vitality, and Clarity. Your movement setup will be in a third 4 link, with level 1 shield charge with maximum quality, which is linked to faster attacks, and Flame Dash, which is linked to our level 7 Arcane Surge, so you get a massive spell damage boost when you Flame Dash around. And the weapon, you wanna have your totems with Wither, Spell Totem, and multiple totems, so you can have up to 3 Wither totems, which wither the enemies within seconds, to the maximum of 15 Wither stacks. Now let's begin with the gear. First, we have the weapon. The budget version is a decent rare wand, with increased spell damage and +1 to level of all chaos spell skill, and maybe an open prefix for craft overtime multi or chaos damage on it. For the next more expensive weapon, you wanna look for a wand with the same stats but with projectile or cast speed. The next mid-tier weapon is a rare wand. You wanna have increased spell damage as implicit with +1 chaos spell skill gems and +1 of all spell skill gems, and a good damage mod as prefix like spell damage or 2 chaos damage over time multiplier. When you are crazy rich, you will have an item level 82 prophecy wand with 40% increased spell damage as implicit and a 2 chaos damage over time multiplier and a minimum of 80% increased spell damage. You also want a +1 level of all chaos spell skill gems and +1 level of all spell skill gems. For a suffix, you wanna go crazy now. For the maximum clear speed, you wanna have something like 30% increased projectile speed or more. The next step is a secondary hand. For the beginning, use a second one just like the ones I say before. Only when you wanna go low life, you need to have a Prism Guardian. Watch out for the maximum dexterity roll if you like to save dexterity nodes in your atlas skill tree. Your body armor will be a cheap tabula rasa or a cheap 6-linked armor with some life and resistance, good defense layer. When you go low life, you'll need a chevron's wrapping, but watch out for the increased energy shield roll. The more, the better defense you have, and the better defense, like, you'll less die. If you wanna go crazy with it, jump into an Alva Temple and show balls and double crop. When you hit +2 duration gems, +2 projectile gems, or +1 level of all skill gems, well, GG, you have a great chest. But search for a good energy shield roll before you double corrupt it, so you don't lose any defense. The next step is the helmet. For the Leaguestarter, just equip a cheap rare helmet with resistance and life. You don't need anything on it. Later on the league, you wanna search for a unique helmet, which is the crown of the inward eyes, which drops from Cyrus. The helmet gives you a good amount of flat armor and energy shield, and up to 21% increased maximum life, mana, global energy shield, and transfiguration of soul, which increases and reductions to maximum energy shield also apply to spell damage at 30% of the value, which is awesome. And this for a helmet which costs later in the league only a few cares, pretty awesome. For the enchantments on the helmet, you wanna go with Soulrend, fires an additional projectile, or Soulrend deals 40% increased damage, depends on what you like more. Next step, the gloves. On the beginning, you just want cheap rare gloves with life and resistance. If you get a few chaos, you wanna buy the cheap shadows and dust, which gives you rampage. Rampage gives you 1% increased movement speed per 20 rampage stacks, and 2% increased damage per 10 rampage stacks. The maximum rampage you can get is 1000. You will get rampage for every single enemy you kill in the last few seconds. Rampage also gives you 13 different things the more enemies you kill, like animated weapons, or animated bows, or just a cool big explode. Make sure you buy the glove with a despair curse effect implicit, so your Soulrend will curse the enemies every time you hit them, and it deals way more damage. For the mid tier, you wanna buy Argonite's Gentle Touch. It gives you a free temporal chains curse, so you can now disable your Falling Bane setup. For the endgame dudes here, you wanna have the glove also with only despair. Next one, we have the Amulet. The first amulet you wanna have just with attributes, life, and alt resistance. Later on, you wanna equip your Presence of Shayula, which gives you a huge amount of energy shield and chaos resistance. Now you should be a chaos rest cat easy, because you also have your Ascendacy, 60% increased chaos resistance. Something nice about the amulet is, it gives you stun immunity, so you can every time in every fight, and you can still use it after your low life setup. For the Anointment, you wanna use for the cheap version and the Shayula amulet Fury Balls, which gives you an extra dexterity buff and increased projectile speed. The oils you need for this are 2 Verdant oil, the green one, and 1 Teal oil, the blue one. If you wanna go high with defense and more damage, you need the Ashes of the Star, with a minimum of 15% mana reservation efficiency. For the first amulet, gives the quality just buy something you like. For the Ashes Anoint, you can go with Overcharge, which gives you 8% chance to gain a Power, Frenzy, or a Doom charge on kill. For the rings, it's pretty simple too. Just buy any ring with life, attributes, maybe increase damage or something useful, some resistance. For the mid tier, if you don't have gloves with despair, you wanna have a ring with curse enemies with Despair on hit with increased effect. This is a hunter mod if you wanna craft it at your own, but you only need to curse on one ring. On the other one, just put something useful in it. For the mid-tier rings, you wanna go with Crusader rings, which can give you increased maximum energy shield, which is a good defense layer, and something like attributes or resistance or flat energy shield. For your first endgame ring, you wanna have an Iolite, Hunter, Crusader influenced ring with flat energy shield, increased energy shield, and curse enemies with Despair on hit. If you got the open suffix, you can craft increased chaos damage on it, or attributes. For the second endgame ring, you wanna have an Iolite, Crusader influenced ring with the same stats than the first one, but maybe with the chaos or elemental resistance on it. Last but not least, we have a rare build. In the beginning, with life and resistance modifier, maybe attribute if you are still not kept. For the mid-tier, you wanna have a Stick and Vice with life, strength and resistance. The endgame version will be a big crystal belt with Hunter and Crusader influence, which gives you increased chaos damage from Hunter and increased maximum energy shield from Crusader. Also watch out for a flat energy shield mod and good chaos or elemental resistance. If you got an open suffix on it, craft what you need. Maybe attributes, save a passive skill tree point, or just resistance. For the boys and girls over here who swim into money, just buy a mage bot and use crazy Flask to push you into the limit and enjoy the build. For the last item, the boots, we have another rare for the beginning. Life, resistance and increased movement speed. When you have a few chaos left, you can use, until the endgame boots, the uniques Syntrack, which gives you up to 13 decks, which can also save a passive skill tree point. Syntrack gives you a huge amount of flat energy shield and increased movement speed. The special about the boots is that the enemies can't leech life now from you, so it's another good defense layer. The endgame boots you want are Sorcerer Boots base with minimum 15 dex, movement speed and T1 chaos resistance and a T1 fire, cold or lightning resistance, whatever you need, and a huge amount flat energy shield. Well, that's it for the gear. Let's jump into the flask setup. For the beginning, you want a life flask with instant use. So when you need life, you have it instant, instead of waiting and dying. The second one you need is a Quicksilver flask with increased effect and or maybe with increased movement speed during flask effect. The third flask you need is a Granite flask with increased flask effect or increased armor during flask effect. The fourth flask is a Jade flask for evasion with increased effect or increased evasion rating during flask effect, or like the Granite flask, both mods later on for more money. And most important flask in the beginning is the Eternal Mana. With the mod, flask effect is not removed when unreserved mana is filled. A mid-tier version from the mana flask is when you have reduced mana cost of skills during flask effect on it. So your Soulrend costs not so much mana and you kill more monsters until you run out of mana, and it's great for bossing if you don't have a level 21 clarity. For the low life version, you can skip the 1 and the 5th flask. Instead of the life flask, you can equip now a Dying Sun. The Dying Sun gives you 2 additional projectiles and more clear. You can replace the mana flask or silver flask, which gives you onslaught, so you are way faster and more speed means more fun. Well, that's it for today's video. I think and hope I covered everything. A big thanks to my friend Alpha, who has the idea from Soulrend Leaguestarter and create the first leveling path of building. Please subscribe, like and share the video if you like it. I really hope you enjoy the guide. If you got any tips, question or more, just write it in the comment. I hope I see you in the next video. Have a great day and good loot. Your Hodor. Ciao.